Today we're going to look at formal letter writing. What is a formal letter? A formal letter is a letter that follows a stipulated format. Formal letters are written to officials, dignitaries, colleagues, seniors, etc. Please note that formal letters are not written to friends, families, or acquaintances. Here are the parts of the formal letter: heading, inside address, greeting or salutation, body, closing, and signature. The first part of the letter, which is the heading. The heading is the information of the person sending the letter. So if you are writing the letter, students, the P.O. box number that you are going to put will be your own. Within the heading, you must include the city as well as the country, and that is why we have Nassau, Bahamas. After you would have included your address, meaning your P.O. box and Nassau, Bahamas, it is very important that you skip a line and use the date. Now, the date that you're going to include in this part of the letter should be the current date or the date that you are writing the paper. So I would have used the 17th of November, 2021, because that is the day that I am using to give this presentation. So it's very important that whenever you sit your examination or when you're sitting down to write a sample formal letter, it's very important that you use that particular date. And notice how the date is written. After the heading, you include the inside address. Now, the inside address is the information of the person that you're writing the letter to. Now, when you're writing your inside address, it's very important that you begin that with the title of the person, whether it's Mr., Mrs., or Miss. So my letter is going to Mrs. Sharon Smith. She's a language arts teacher. So after the person's name, you need to put their position within that particular company. So she's a language arts teacher. At what school? Which school is she a language arts teacher? SMFS Junior High. And then, of course, her P.O. box, the city and the country. Notice how the information is aligned. Okay, notice how they come one right after the other. That is how your work should be as well. Before we move on to greeting, let me just mention that with this heading here, this will start. I always suggest that you fold your paper in half before you begin your letter because it makes it easier for you to align your heading with your closing and signature of the letter. Okay, now this particular information, your P.O. box, Nassau, and the current date will be found on the first half or the right half of your paper. When you move now to the inside address, this goes on the left half of your paper, closer to the first margin that you will have. Okay. Our greeting or salutation, you always say dear. And if you give the name of the person in your inside address, so I have here Mrs. Sharon Smith. So when I come now to my greeting, it should be dear Mrs. Smith. And of course, for the formal letter, you do not use a comma. You use a colon as your punctuation mark at the end of your greeting. And the dear goes immediately after the inside address. Of course, you would skip a line, but it goes immediately after the inside address. Now, after you would have developed the body of your letter and you're making your final submission, you have to include your closing. Your closing should be aligned with your heading. So let's just go back to the heading. This is the heading. So when I come now to put my closing, your closing will go on that same right-hand side next to the folded margin that you would have created. And of course, it would not look like this. This is not aligned, all right? It will be against the margin, but these are 3 closings that you can use: sincerely yours truly or sincerely yours, and you must put the comma at the end. When you come now to the signature of the letter, the signature comes immediately after the closing, and it is aligned with the closing. But I need you to note that the signature is not your initial. The signature is not your nickname. The signature is not squiggly lines. Your signature is your first and last name. Okay, no abbreviations, no nicknames. Your signature is your first and last name. Let's take a look now at the different letters or different formal letters that you may be asked to write, and what you should include in these letters once you're given them to write in the BJC or in class. All right. So this here is now the complaint or the request letter, and you'll find that the letters might be combined. All right. So this here now is the complaint or request letter. You must state that it is a letter of complaint or request. Yes, you get 1 point for doing that. So you should start your letter by saying, I am writing this letter to complain, or I am writing this letter to request, to ensure that you get that 1 point. State the complaint or request. So state what it is you're complaining about or what it is you have an issue with. And with the request, you're going to say what your position is on a particular situation or a particular item. State at least 2 ways the problem would have affected you, and you want to be careful in how you word these problems. For example, you don't want to say, I had to wash the dishes 3 times. You want to be careful with the tone. Okay, so wording is very important, especially for this kind of letter. Request a solution to the problem. Request compensation. It is very important that you be very specific with the compensation that you want. If you said that you paid $25 for the ticket, indicate that you would like to be compensated the $25. Don't just say you want compensation. Give an amount. Say what you want. Say if you purchased a remote control and it didn't work when you took it home, state that you would like a new remote control. Indicate what you want to receive. And also indicate a time frame. Don't just say ASAP or as soon as possible. Give a specific date. The letter of invitation now. You must, 1, invite the person or invite them to speak. In most instances, when you see the prompt, and we'll look at some of the prompts from the BJC, they will ask you to, 1, invite the person and then indicate what you want them to do. All right, so this particular point is just giving you two things that you can get a point for: 1 for inviting them, and 2 for asking them or requesting that they be the guest speaker. All right, the date, the venue, and the time is very important that you put when and where. The topic of the speech or the theme of the event is very important. The length of speech or length of the event. So let's just say you're just inviting this person to be a part of the event. You just want them in attendance. You might want to say the start time as well as the anticipated end time of the event. Or if you're inviting them to speak, you want to indicate to them that I'd like for you to speak for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, okay? Audience. Now, it's very, very important. If you're going to invite someone, you need to indicate to them their target audience, who they will be addressing. So you might want to say students between the ages of 13 to 15, or students in the 7th grade, students in the 9th grade, students from the 10th and 12th grade. You want to indicate who it is that the person is going to be addressing, or who it is that they can expect will be a part of this event. You must give them a time to confirm if they are available. Okay, so if the event is for November 23rd, you might want to say, please confirm by November 17th. And the date that you want to put is the entire date. Don't just put November 17th. You have to put November 17th, 2021. Okay, you have to be very, very specific. Even include the day there if you're able to. And of course, why the person was selected. I noticed that you have a girls club and you're a very eloquent speaker, so we wanted to invite you. You want to indicate some reasons why the person would have been selected to be a part of your program. This letter now is the letter of congratulations. Of course, the first thing you need to indicate is that you are writing to congratulate the person. The second thing you want to do is identify the person that you're writing to. So you are writing to the teacher of the year. So congratulations on becoming the teacher of the year. Congratulations on becoming the chairperson on the, so you want to identify what it is that you're congratulating them for. The next thing is you want to identify the achievement. So let's just say that they would have been serving for 5 years. So congratulations on your retirement. You would have served in education for 30 years. You want to indicate what they have done or what they would have achieved to get this honor. Express pride. So you want to say, I am so proud of you. I am proud of your accomplishments. I am proud of you want to express pride in the individual, the committee, the team, whatever, because you might be asked to write a letter to congratulate your school's softball team. So you want to go ahead and express that you are proud of the accomplishment. Offer encouragement and support. I know that you will do well in this position because of what you would have done or what you would have contributed previously. So give them words of encouragement. And of course, give 3 this year. You will do this if the congratulation prompt asks you to give reasons on why the person won or why they got that particular position. So you want to be able to say, well, because you were 1, always on time, you were 2, willing to give up your personal time to assist students. You want to be able to identify justifications for the promotion or justifications for the congratulations. All right. This is the last one that we're going to look at, and this is the thank you letter. You must 1, say thanks. You must 2, give reasons why you are thankful. You must 3, express gratitude. I am grateful for the service that you would have rendered. And you must, last but not least, state how the gesture has helped you in 3 ways. And 1 year they had the prompt about thanking the doctor that did or operated on you while you were at the hospital. So with this particular thing, you could include how the doctor was speedy in their execution of the surgery, how they checked in with you, and how that helped you to become comfortable, or how it helped you to heal quickly. Okay, so state how the nice gesture, or how the gesture affected you positively. So what is the examiner essentially looking for when they're marking your paper? This is what they're looking for. Alignment. Remember all of those points that I just talked about? You must say thanks. You must indicate that you are congratulating the person. You must indicate that you're writing a letter of complaint. You must say the date and the time. All of those key points that we talked about previously, that is what they're looking for in terms of crucial points. 3, they are looking for correct formatting. So when we look at the heading, the inside address, the closing, the signature, they're looking for all of that, as well as organization and precision. And when I say precision, remember now, the formal letter is only 100 words. So you have a limited amount of words that you can use to express yourself. So within the words that you're given, it's very important that you are selective with what it is that you say. And not only selective, it is very important that you try to include all of the crucial points, or all of the crucial things for the type of letter that you would have selected. And under organization, of course, would be paragraphing and the correct use of your sentences, correct punctuation, and stuff like that. We would have already looked at our formal letter types: letter of complaint, letter of request, letter of invitation, letter of congratulations, as well as a thank you letter. So we've looked at those in detail. This is just outlining the different ones, okay? Now, the prompts that we're going to look at are prompts from the 2018 paper. This is just to give you an idea of what the prompts might include, or what they might ask you to do. So the first one, and this is a combination of a letter of complaint and a letter of request. The sleeping bag that you bought for a camping trip with your youth group turned out to be of poor quality. Write a letter of complaint to the manager of the local store where it was purchased, explaining the inconvenience caused. Request that he or she settle the matter in a satisfactory way. So when you're writing your letter of complaint or request, it's not sufficient for you to say, I'd like my money back. As a part of compensation, you have to be very specific with that, okay? This now is the example of a letter of application and request prompt. A number of teachers at your school have just formed a big brother, big sister committee. Write a letter of application to the chairperson of the committee. Give at least 3 reasons why you should be selected as a big brother or sister at your school. The thank you letter prompt from the 2018 paper. Write a letter to the teacher who is the chairperson of the travel club at your school, thanking him or her for arranging the most recent trip that club members took. Be sure to let him or her know exactly why you enjoyed the trip. Now, when you're writing this letter, you might want to include where you went and some of the activities. Okay, so we went to Orlando, Florida, to Busch Gardens. You might want to include the day, the traveling date. So we traveled from November 1st to the 3rd, and we stayed at, so certain things you might want to include within this letter to explain or to justify why it is you're thanking the chairperson, or to explain the experience that you would have had. Letter of congratulations. A teacher at your school is leaving, as she has been promoted to senior master or senior mistress at your school. Write a letter congratulating him or her on this achievement. Be sure to include reasons why you feel he or she is deserving of such a promotion. Now, with this particular letter, you might want to include the name of the school, the number of years that the teacher served at that particular school, the new school that they're being transferred to, why you think they are deserving of the promotion. Okay. So the real question is, how can I maximize my points in the formal letter writing section of the BJC paper? This is how you can maximize your points. Tip 1, know what you are being asked to do and do it. So if you select the prompt that says that you are congratulating the teacher, you should not be thanking the teacher or requesting that the teacher do something or complaining. Know what you're asked to do and do it. Tip 2, ensure that your heading is aligned. And your heading, it should include, of course, your inside address and all that. Ensure that when you are writing your formal letter, and like I would have suggested previously, fold the page in half so that when you begin the heading, meaning your PO box with Nassau, Bahamas, and the current date, it lines up with that inside margin instead of trying to estimate how much space you should be using to write. Use the fold to assist you with aligning your work. Tip 3, remember to use the current date. The date that you are taking the exam or the date that you're writing the test or the date that you're writing your sample letter is the date that you should use. And you definitely should not, your date, I'm going to type an example, your date should not look like this. You will lose points, okay? Tip 4, include key points in the body of your letter. It's very important that you include the key points. So if you are writing your letter about thanking your teacher, please be sure to include the number of years or what you're thanking the teacher for, what the teacher would have done for you to stand out. If you're writing a letter of complaint, you might want to include the location that you got the item from. You might want to include the name of the store, of course. You might want to include the day and the time that you purchased the item. You might want to include the receipt number, anything that can assist you with getting your point across. Specifically, those points that we spoke about earlier in this presentation, you want to ensure that you have those within your letter. Tip 5, use paragraphing. Your information should not be jammed into one paragraph or into one block. It is very important for you to use paragraphing. Tip 6, use formal language. So all of the slangs and abbreviations that you normally use, don't use them. So stuff like boy and gonna and have to, all of those slangs and Bahamian dialects that we normally use when we're typing to our friends, don't use them in your letter. Use formal language. Tip 7, align your closing and signature with your sender's address. So the sender's address is the heading. So ensure that your closing and signature is aligned with your PO box, your location, and your current address. That's why it's very important for you to fold the paper in half as suggested to assist you with aligning your work properly. Tip 8, keep your closing simple and formal. The 3 closings that I suggested, use them. You don't want to go and try to be fancy and then you go and put the wrong thing. Some closings are not considered formal. That is why we suggest that you use certain ones. Okay, so keep your closing simple and formal. Tip 9, use your first and last name as your signature. Remember that your signature is not yet a nickname. Your signature is not an abbreviation. Your signature is not your initials. Your signature is not squiggly lines. Your signature for your formal letter is your first and last name, and only your first and last name. And tip 10, proofread your work. It's very important that you read over your letter to ensure that you have included everything that you needed to include and that you have no errors. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you found today's presentation helpful.